Alright guys, I'm in my civilian uniform and I'm going to show you what we've been doing over 80 hours of work. There's been a lot of change in the garden, so come and have a look. The borders are looking very nice, by the way, and I'm going to show you where the bulk of the work has been done, but I'll come back and show you some other stuff inside. There's certain things that are right in the way. I've been collecting seeds and starting a seed bank, and also we've got lots of stuff going on in the greenhouse. I've cleared a border. I bought 2 new pieces of equipment and started up a new composting, started up a composting area where I have actually discovered something new there as well. This is just pretty much dense, fairly dense undergrowth. I don't know, I'm going to try and put up some old video clips of what it used to look like. And there's a lot to show you today. So this area used to be completely covered in ivy, really, and some really overgrown things, and so I cleared the area knowing that I wanted a bit of a play area for the boys, and this is what we've ended up making. And Steve has been incredible in this process. He's helped me build this thing. It took us a couple of days, and we've cemented in these anchors at the bottom, which you need to do if you've got a swing or anything like this. I've put down some grass seed and it's taking pretty well. There's obviously a few patches, but I've put it down in 2 trenches, so there's some new seed coming through here, but then there's some older seed. I just put it down maybe a couple of months ago and it's come up very nicely. It's a seed that is meant to be good for children. It's called Child's Play from Boston Seeds in the UK. Child's Play grass, and it's meant to be good for really dry areas in the shade and for children. So it's got a bit of ryegrass in there, but ryegrass that's pointy, so it doesn't look like some of the more you know, the ryegrass that doesn't look very nice. So this is round the other side of the children's play area, and I don't know if you remember this tree, but it's totally covered in ivy, and it's actually an elderflower tree, so that's really nice to know. And I finally took all the ivy off the trunk. There's just a few, if you see those roots sticking out there, that's what's left from the ivy. Huge changes. I mean, so just this area alone and clearing into here has taken, God, a bulk of that time, but lots more interesting things to see. So we've cleared all the ivy now in this area. It's totally swamped by ivy, absolutely everywhere. Ivy is covering the entire floor all the way along here. It's choking up the tree. See it choking up all these trees, and then it's hanging down here. Just ivy absolutely everywhere, so we've got to clear through this area, a lot of it anyway. There's the odd little bit coming back through, and it's difficult to see the gradient, but it goes uphill, so it's a bit of a mound. You'll see it better from this other direction. I'll see if I can go through here. And this is the interesting bit with the compost. So this is the kind of the new discovery, the new latest discovery. We've found a bit of a concrete bed, and I've dug out this area where I've put in a Dalek, and yeah, you can still see where the soil was coming up to because there's a dark patch on the wall. So we've dug out quite a lot of soil, put that Dalek into where the ground level should be. So that's where I guess just a lot of compostable stuff had been dumped at some point. And then if we go even further back into the garden, we've got this sort of compost area. We'll be at some point digging out this compost heap. It's got an awful lot of really good soil to use, and I'll talk to you about the grass and the plan for that, because I think we've got incredibly dry sort of stony soil here. And yeah, anyway, I'll show you in a bit. I've pulled these bricks out. They were lining another temporary compost heap, and I've pulled out a lot of the soil, and you can see that it is just a heap of soil sitting on more pavers So I've got quite a lot of soil to dig out still, but making really nice progress there. So this is coming into the compost area, and then it kind of swings round here, and you can see we've cleared all the ivy away from here, and there's yet another pile of just random compostable stuff people have dumped over the years. And if we go down here, we're at the back of the area, and if you see all the way through there, that's the climbing frame. And I'll go round, but there is a bit of a dip in the soil here, so I can dump a lot of soil down there and spread it out to get it away from just these random areas that I want to be more usable. It's possible in the longer term that once this area is cleared a bit more, we might be able to keep some chickens here, and then some sort of hard standings. We don't know where all the patio is here, but there's so much to do. And this is the sort of back corner of the garden. So that's a nice thought that we've had, because I'm keen to explore what can be done with compost. And I've got 3 different things that I want to do with compost. I want to keep and retain compost. Have a look in here. There's a lot of bugs in there, but you can see there's wood chip on the top, and we've just been putting in compost below, just soft garden waste, and once that's composted it can then be moved into here, or if it's usable as itself, we can just use it directly from the Dalek. But we started off our compost area, and we're now actively composting. And you see the 2 bags in the back I'm keeping, and I'm going to be shredding. I've bought a shredder, and that's one of the new bits of equipment that I'll show you. You can see here we've been mulching some of the plants with some of that compost, and it helps incredibly. Once you've mulched a plant, it gets a lot more nutrients, but mainly it helps to keep the moisture, so it's looking a lot healthier, because its roots had been, and you can see the new growth just coming here, the lighter green. Its roots have been dug around by badgers. Look, there's this trail cam here looking at the compost area, and we've seen badgers coming through here, which we know there's a gap in the fence, sniffing around, and also a fox as well, so that's nice to see. I'll see if I can put in some old footage of before and afters if there's any around, but it will just sort of randomly appear. This is a very interesting area. So this is where there was a big bush. The thing we're going to take out is this thing. It's a bit of a no-brainer, this one. It's a bit ridiculous actually, because if you see it, it's got a little bit of foliage on the front face, right at the very foremost part of the border that it could possibly be, and then all this space behind it in the border that was dominating this entire front row, and it was only on the first sort of foot, and it was completely blocking any light getting behind it, and so nothing was growing there. I've started planting in this area, and this is on the back wall of the garden. For context, my partner likes lupins, so I've been planting lupins, and that's a lovely flower. And also from one of my customers' gardens, I've of course with permission got these lovely garlic plants. They're a yellow flower, and the stems smell of garlic, and this is a yellow raspberry, and some lovely alliums here, some little ones, some chamomile, where the flowers are just starting to come out, and pinch some of that off to make a cup of tea. And then I've got some common thyme, and then some marjoram, and this was a big bush that we chopped back as well. And then we've got raspberries at the back, so just normal red raspberries that do get nicked by the birds, and that's why I've gone for some yellow ones as well. And then some gooseberries, 1, 2, 3, and then a lovely rhododendron that's going to probably grow quite big. On a forsythia at the back with lovely yellow flowers in the early spring. And you'll see this moss all over the place here, and I've been mulching the plants as they've been put down with some compost first, and then this moss on top, and it's been keeping the ground really moist and wet compared to the surrounding area. But we've had such a wet year. If you're hearing about heat waves in Europe right now, we've not been getting that. We've been getting rain, which has been fantastic. It's kept us cool. This area is interesting because you can see it's kind of like a random, like a bit of a random area with loads of growth, and it's an area in between two big bushes where there was a little bit of space allowed for light and air, and this is what's naturally been growing, these lovely flowers. And there's a hydrangea, which is one of my partner's favourites, and I do like a hydrangea. That's a nice one with a white flower. So we've got some nice things in there. I think we'll be removing this grass. It's got no value for me. I don't particularly like it. It doesn't particularly do anything for me. But we've been collecting a lot of seeds from Wildflowers that I'm going to be planting in this border, and I'll show you in the seed bank in a bit. And then the other big hackback on this back border, it was basically this bush that we've hacked it back to about 3 foot high. It was dominating this entire area, and it came right to the front, and again it was blocking all light behind it. So all of this area where you can see all this soil, which is a significant area by the way, and it covers the bags, it was just that one bush, monoculture. So we've hacked that back. We're still going to have the bush, but just a bit smaller, and we can put other things in. And you can see all these big sticks back there. I chopped them back from this wall of laurel that was causing a lot of the shade and making this border pretty useless. So if you can see, the wall of laurel now goes back to there, and there's a big gap in between the trees. I'm trying to get you the right perspective so you can see, but a huge gap here from there to there, and it's letting in so much more light. You can see in that gap alone, but especially out the front and the top and all overhead. And so there's a huge amount more light in this border, and we've done no weeding whatsoever, and you can see that there was precisely nothing growing back here because it was so dark. And with all the branches from cutting back that laurel, I saved them in a pile. And we had a garden party, some kids around, and it was a nice activity for them to make a little den. And we've discovered a rhododendron back here, and it hasn't flowered. I didn't notice it flowering, but it is now starting to develop flower buds. You can see them here for next year, so that will be really nice to see what sort of colour it is, because we've got other rhododendrons in the garden that are different colours, so another thing to discover. And then this is a little bit of a wild patch that survived as well, with these lovely flowers, and a little bit of that's marjoram or oregano, similar sort of thing, and some lemon thyme there. And so I've kept all the, from this big bush we've chopped back, I've kept all the material. We were going to get rid of it, but I've ultimately decided we're going to chip everything back into the compost and into the garden. So we've got that bag to get through, and this bag, and I really want to make biochar as well, because it can be quite an incredible thing for the soil, to create biochar. Apparently there's a lot of biochar in the Amazonian terra preta soil. So we're good on that back border, and I'm going to be replanting it with a lot of wildflower seeds that are coming from these borders. So this border has these beautiful pink flowers at the moment, but they've just been coming back and back with flowers ever since spring, and something new pops up every time you look. This is actually quite nice, but a big thing to have right in the middle of a front border, but it would look really nice at the back border over there. So we've been collecting seeds, and this is a yellow mallow plant. This, sorry, a white a white mallow. It's got that sort of leaf and a lovely white flower, and it's falling over at the minute. It's sort of finishing off, but we've been collecting seeds from it. It's got seed pods in there. See the seeds coming out. And then this one next to it is a nettle-leaved bellflower, and they have lovely bell-shaped flowers. I'm trying to think if I can see one. Yeah, here's one. So this is a bellflower, nettle bellflower. So this one has slightly lighter leaves, so it's going to be similar, but it'll be a different colour or something. There's a lot of different things here that pop up. And I'll show you the seed bank, the greenhouse, and then the tools that I've bought that have helped me do the things that I've been describing. There we go. Lovely flower. There's a bee. We've got, and another one. When it's sunny and it's the right condition for bees, they're absolutely everywhere. You get one just milling around. They love the lavender. So the flowers and the bushes, they're covered in insects and bees, which is nice. This we've reweeded after I jet washed, and I've put sand in the middle. It's just a cheap kiln dried sand, £6 a bag, 3 bags. They're quite big gaps in the pavers. Then I'm going to be tidying up this patio, so it's totally overgrown by bushes, so it's looking quite good, the patio. I haven't tidied up, this is just the way the garden is. And then if we go into the greenhouse, we've had some interesting things happening. We've had mice coming in and eating some of the stuff, mainly the courgettes, and they're not looking too healthy. One big thing to avoid is closing off your ventilation. Everything went mouldy, and a lot of the fruit really suffered, but we've got some strawberries growing here, and works well hanging them up actually. And we've planted some of the runners into a hanging basket below it, propped up by a bucket. And then we've got, ooh, that's nearly ready. Little bushy tomato plant there, and the older boy's been harvesting peas from this plant, which he's been enjoying. And these tomato plants have got tomatoes on, but his first tomato plant that was £5 from Waitrose that I was shocked at, nearly gave me a heart attack, but it did come in a terracotta pot. It's doing well. Look, it's got some tomatoes that are very, very nearly ready. And it's got a nice little run of tomatoes there, and more coming up the top. It's tall. Then we've got other tomatoes here, and a random big one. So that's great. What else to show you? So we've got strawberries coming out again and flowering down there, and then we've got these on the other side. We've got the basil that's coming on very nicely. Took a long time to get going, but that's the basil that I planted from all the pizzas that we've had this year that we kind of stopped having for a while, but we've got loads of basil now. That's good. And then these are prickly cucumber plants, and they get prickly little cucumbers, and we've tasted one. This one's a bit bigger. No, an even bigger one there. So one in the corner and another one on that left hand side. So quite a lot going on in the greenhouse. And this is the bush that was in front of the greenhouse that really covered it, and it's put on a lot of growth still. There's a fuchsia, but it's come out nicely and flowered. And this one behind it looks like it's got a gorgeous flower. Yeah, it's starting to flower elsewhere as well. And that's one we chopped back as well. And I love this pot, the basil, the bay tree. But I'll show you the seeds. I'm running out of battery. This is a seed bank I got for my birthday, and it's really nice to come out here in the afternoons with the older boy and do a bit of seed collecting. He's really into it. This is an allium load of seeds from a customer's house. I've got some old chives and spring onions from packets of seeds that I had hanging around, and then I've got all these foxglove seeds from our garden. And then here we've got some things that's a hedge nettle, nettle leaf, bellflower, granny's bonnet, lupin, white mallow, and then a big allium that we had in the garden. All these are from our garden. So I've started the process of collecting seeds, and at the right time we'll probably do 2 different plantings in sort of September, October, and then in spring. And there's a load of bees here, you know, on that back border. You see the bees in there? That's the water. So there's quite a lot. I mean, I'd just love to have one of these 2 borders replicated in the back. All that colour's incredible. I'll probably have to finish off this tour rather quickly. Got about 3% battery left, and there's a magnolia tree that I bought, and this is the grafted tree that I made earlier in the year. Looks like a plum tree. Just doing well. And other things, there's a lupin to go in. But these are the 2 tools that I've bought. There's this. I won't show you all the other gear in there. That's for the business. This is a shredder. I've already tentatively used it. It's a cheap one from Hyundai. Yeah, I mean, it's slow going and tiny, but it'll do the job just for what limited stuff we have in the garden. And then look, this is what I was chopping back all the laurel with. It's a saw on a pole, chainsaw. And I'll just take off. It goes onto my multi-tool, and with my multi-tool I've got an extension pole and I've got a ladder, so I've been able to reach quite high on that back wall of laurel. And I did run it past the neighbour on the opposite road and said hi and said, look, mind if I chop it back? And they were like, no, it's fine, so long as you maintain the cover. They were okay